clown was a mariachi. Ooh. That's an image.
Now you're giving away IPs. Art the Clown in Spanish? That'll be...
Oh, man.
Let's copyright that now.
Just think of it. Just, I don't know. We both grew up in Latin culture. We know how terrified our family was of any kind of horror movies. And I just can't imagine how they would embrace art in Espanol. Dressed as a mariachi. I'm just thinking, I just have them on the brain because we saw our Terrifier 3. It's kind of going along with the theme, right? We're going to be talking about disaster movies, but that, I think it's going to be a Christmas disaster.
Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Is this going to be the next Nightmare Before Christmas? Is it a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie? Because it's releasing on Halloween, but it's got a Christmas theme. It's going to play for 2 months, basically, right? Because how can you not go see it in the theaters around Christmas time?
I imagine that's the idea, but maybe by Christmas, it's like get the 4K DVD for Christmas.
Yeah, that would be good.
I liked it. I mean, Damien Leone obviously knows horror movies and he understands trailers, and he knows not to show us too much.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the snow angels in the pools of Sangre.
Yeah.
The effects, you can tell the effects got a bit of an upgrade just from what we saw. The film looks a little beefier, just sort of like the quality of the image, you can tell.
Yeah.
Got some better tools.
I feel like Terrifier 2 is definitely I feel like this is going to be another step. It's just the artwork. It's fantastic. They dropped the poster at the same time.
Did they?
Yeah.
Pull that up.
That poster was incredible. Like, you just can't take your eyes off it. Like, you can just stare at it and you see something new every time.
Which is the new poster? What's it look like?
Oh, he's got a girl. Santa's got someone on his lap. Santa Claus as Art as Santa Claus has someone on his lap.
Yeah, why can't I can't find that? Either way, are you sure it wasn't like?
Yeah, it's on. Just go to Damien Leone's Twitter or go to our Twitter. If you're watching along here, just at Dose Incredibles. Check us out on Twitter. We're pretty active on there, especially on Friday nights. But yeah, it's on our Twitter as well.
That's dead air. Keep talking.
Oh, sorry. That was dead air. I was actually starting to look at myself, but yeah, I shouldn't look because I can't.
No, you shouldn't look.
You're not even going to be able to show it on there. But yeah, I was telling you, we're going to the Joe Bob's Jamboree in Vegas again. Second year in a row in Vegas. Second year in a row, we're going to be there. And they delayed the announcement of the card because they said there's a huge surprise coming up. And there's just this part of me that thinks, what if it's a Terrifier 3 drive-in premiere? Even if they're not going to record this to air on Shudder. Or maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. But
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, you found it. Okay. The drive-in premiere of Terrifier 3? It's only 5 days before the actual premiere, before the drop. And don't you feel like they do multiple premieres? Like friend of the show, Randy Reeder, was in New York last night for the Deadpool premiere, but clearly Hall H tomorrow, right? Comic-Con, that's going to be the Comic-Con premiere. I feel like they do 3 or 4.
Wait, they're playing it tomorrow?
That's the rumor. It's the first time that a Marvel film of this magnitude dropped on the same day that they're going to have Hall H at Comic-Con.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. Show the movie to everybody and then have them in Hall H and have the stars show up, right?
Yeah, they're all, for all the cameos are going to be coming up. But I don't know, man. On Terrifier, I just got my fingers crossed that we are going to get to see Terrifier 3 at the drive.
I don't think so. I'm
No?
going to say no. I feel like it just doesn't seem like a Joe Bob thing. Well, not that he wouldn't be involved in Terrifier, but just for the last drive-in being sort of like a retro film retrospective kind of thing, I I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there was screening in town separate of that. You know what I mean?
It would, yeah, for sure. It'd be the first time ever. I feel like this season on Joe Bob, and trust me, we're going to get to disasters. This season on Joe Bob was the first one. I feel like they were coming closer to current films, right? Getting Donnie Darko and what was it, the girl in the morgue?
You say that, but Donnie Darko's 20 years old.
No, it's just last year.
No, that's a 20-year-old movie. That's two generations ago.
But I just meant it felt it's a little bit closer to us than like the stuff that they normally play.
Sure, it's not Blood-Sucking Freaks or whatever. Or Basket Case, which we just saw. I just saw for the first time.
What'd you think?
Hold on. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was a little tired. I did doze for a second just because I can't help it. They shouldn't have installed recliners at the Alamo, but like, I just really liked it. It was really well made. It was like you said. It doesn't feel schlocky at all. It's dead serious. Everybody sells the basket. You know.
They do sell the basket.
And yeah, it's funny that the Museum of the Museum of Natural History decided to preserve that movie.
Oh yeah, Museum of Modern Art.
It's in there with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, how incredible is that? When we got the 4K restoration version, right? So it's something. Having that restoration didn't something about the stop motion pop a little bit more in for it. It felt like it popped more than I remembered.
Maybe. They got the technology now. They can add more frames, make the animation a little smoother, you know?
Because it felt like Marcel in a shell, but it was Belial.
Oh, yeah.
Belial in a basket.
Was that the name of the brother?
Belial, yeah. Which I didn't remember till yesterday. I mean, I only know Dragon Breath, Belial, Martin Lawrence from House Party. I had no idea that the Siamese twin was Belial as well.
Can I just say, though, the thing about that movie is every time Belial comes out of the basket, he's just like screaming in a very, it's just like a man scream, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like they tried to alter the voice or anything like that. It's got a really normal man scream that just is...
it was great. He had the same as the cadaver in Night of the Living Dead, speaking of your shirt. He had that.
He's a little like that Egyptian mummy that they recreated the voice.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds a lot like that.
He had a little bit of that. He had a little bit of sloth, the hey you guys going on. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing it again. It was definitely one I told you my brother saw that box art and we were definitely going to get it.
I'm going to see part 2 now.
Yeah, and there's a couple. I think there's 3. There might be 3. But speaking of box arts, disaster films, box arts are always what pulled you in there. But we'll get to those. But we have they're back. Disaster movies, I feel like, are 100% back.
Why do you say that, Jeff?
Because that freaking Twisters was incredible, man. I just couldn't believe, like, I saw the trailer and I remember you being way more excited for it than I was. And I liked the first Twister just fine. I rewatched it the night before I went and saw Twisters and I was like, yeah, I like this. I just didn't realize how much I was going to like this one. This movie, Hollywood, if you're listening, and we know you are, we know you watch, you like, subscribe, and share, just like everybody that's watching now. You screwed up not putting this out on the 4th of July, man. This movie was like an American classic already. How do you not release this on 4th of July and let this play for 3 weeks on the big screens? Now you just got a week's worth, and Deadpool's going to take all your big screens tomorrow. But This movie was so good, and it's just like, and I don't even really like country music, but they just, everything about it, it just felt, it was perfect casting. Glenn Powell, he's the dude. He's the dude. And now I'm on the ship, too, because I'm like, yeah, this guy's great. He was perfect for this role.
He's perfect for every role. Like I was just saying before the show, he's about to take everybody's roles.
Whose roles?
He just replaced Tom Cruise. He's replacing Tom Cruise on everything. probably going forward. He's replacing Chris Evans. Nobody wants to see him anymore. Matthew McConaughey, he's done. He's just slid into all their potential roles.
He's taking jobs, man. Taking jobs in 2024. They're all going to him. Yeah, and it had bonkers box office. They're like, oh, we underestimated it's going to do. Yeah, and guess what? You could have made way more money if you released it 3 weeks earlier. I mean, tell me that you couldn't have had Twisters on the same weekend as Maxine, which was great, and Despicable Me 4. Like, everybody, the theaters would have been full. We went, like, the showing I went to was the live Q&A. It was sold out. There was no seats.
Wait, were they actually there?
They were they were on live screen.
They were streaming in.
Yeah, they were live streaming, and from every IMAX, you got that hashtag. You can ask a question, and I thought it was a weather question, so I was like, oh, let me ask. Have you ever seen? You scream twins. Have you ever seen triplets? I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna ask my question. Then I realized, oh shit, they're talking to the actors. They want a question about the actors, but they said, oh, Bob Bullock in Austin, Texas, welcome. And they had a question. How did everybody adjust to getting along? Was it a difficult shoot on the set? And everyone in the theater cheered, and everyone was looking around like, who got their question asked? It was great. I just thought it was going to be a bunch of meteorologists, but it was like fans. And it was
you
full.
thought it was going to be people from the museum talking about
I thought
science.
It was people in school, yeah, just like earth science, and they're going to talk about tornadoes. I'm like, why is this packed? It's just like, it's the best screen in Texas, but the worst seats.
Yeah.
But it was packed, and I was like, oh, it must be students. Like, no, it's fans. They popped. They cheered at the end.
Well, like I said, it feels new, even though it's a remake or a reboot or something of a 20-year-old movie. It feels original. Like, we haven't had a movie like this in a while, and it's a very much there's no messaging going on behind the scenes. They're not trying to say anything.
Yes,
it's just like, you know what, tornadoes are dangerous, and we're going to show you just how dangerous they are.
That's all they did. That's literally all they did, and that's all you needed to do. I can argue that this is probably exactly how you should do a sequel, especially when it's like 20-something years later or 30-something, whatever it is, 30 years later, because they acknowledge it. You said this, Mari. They stole your gimmick. They literally stole your gimmick. You're like, why wouldn't you just, like, you said RoboCop. Why didn't they just call you Drone Man? Why didn't they call Roadhouse Bouncer? Like, why do you have to remake it? Just say it's a sequel at a different bar with a different person. Like, the only hint that we even got that this was a sequel to Twister versus Twisters was Dorothy, the name of the device. And like, this whole thing, and I wanted to go back and watch it again when they were listing all the category of tornadoes. I thought they mentioned the one that Helen Hunt's family got hit in. But it happened so fast. That was literally it. That was the only reason you even knew that this was a sequel besides the title. And like, that's really all you need, though, right?
I mean, I think they definitely left the door open to connecting it later. I think that's why they had Dorothy, so they can just say this is in the same universe, just in case. Because just if you're Helen Hunt right now, and you're like, how'd you like to be in Twisters 2? And you're like, F you, pay me, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we don't even know if this is going to be hit. Just come be in it. But now, her agent's definitely on the phone for Twisters 3, to bring in the old guard, maybe relaunch Dorothy, whatever. But it's definitely connected somehow.
It's there.
Yeah.
And I guess I take that back. This has been done before. I mean, Jurassic World kind of did that with Jurassic Park.
Right. They're doing a Jurassic World thing.
The first one, they're like, he had the Jurassic Park, the original shirt. They kind of just like danced around all the stuff. They danced around it. But I'm fine. Kind of leaves the door open. Like, if you watch this movie, you should be ashamed of yourself if you try to remake a movie that was already good. Just make it a sequel. Who cares? Because people have gotten rid of numbers anyway, right? It's not like, oh, we don't want to see part 2, part 3.
We don't like numbers in sequels anymore.
Yeah, they don't even put them anyway.
No.
You can just, like, next one's going to be just like Twister, Kansas, Twisters in Kansas. They're just going to just throw a subtitle on it, and that's fine. I feel like you're honoring the IP, you're honoring the legacy, you're honoring what came before you, not kind of like a slap in the face, which is what a lot of these remakes do. I'm glad this wasn't a remake because I was a little nervous about it. I was like, just be connected somehow.
Yeah.
And it's not like I was like, I really need to see Helen Hunt or else I'm going to be disappointed. No. All I needed to see was Dorothy number 4. Fine. Okay. They're still using her tech even though it's old. Fine. Okay. Now I know it's connected. And now, like you said, it felt fresh. It was shot on film and able to, it was shot on film. They showed it in IMAX and it still felt fresh.
Yeah. And I was watching. Did you watch the original Twisters before you?
I did. Yep.
Watching that, I definitely appreciated how they went the YouTube route, right?
Yeah.
With Glenn Powell, and he's just doing it as a YouTube channel. There's nothing else really behind that, you know. Whereas the first one, you had an entirely other tornado crew with stolen tech.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I like the lack of espionage. It took the premise of the first one, and I think maybe even put it in a friendlier wrapper.
Yes, it felt way friendly. That's a good way to put it. It felt way more friendly. It felt more digestible. It felt like it was okay to have a good time.
Absolutely, yeah.
I had no idea that was David. How do you say his name? Cornsweet. That was
The future Superman.
Future Superman was in there too as a
Yeah,
heel.
yeah.
It's like, all right, that's kind of fitting. That like we literally may have just seen Batman, the new Batman, and the new Superman on the screen at the same time.
That's kind of the way it goes. It's wild how. I mean, I guess it's not weird, but when a celebrity really takes off, it's just all of a sudden they're in everything.
Yeah.
You know, much like Glenn Powell and now David Cornsett, and even the guy who plays Javi, you feel like he's in everything.
I did, yeah. He was. What did you think? Like, did you feel comfortable or uncomfortable? Because that kind of felt like it was trying to be like a love triangle, but then it wasn't.
Well, I mean, the first one was a love triangle as well. It pretty much took the first movie beat by beat and sort of followed it as a plan, you know? Because, yeah, I don't think it was as. Again, this kind of connects to what I want to talk about after this, but like they didn't really want to push any kind of a romantic angle in this movie, so they just left it kind of open, you know.
Yeah.
Will they? Won't they? Whatever. But it's not a love triangle as in the first one where he's got his new fiance and Helen Hunt's his ex, and it's like, oh, will they ever figure it out? You know?
Yeah.
But again, like I was saying, like they didn't push. As a matter of fact, like they didn't push the romance to the point where people are mad now. So
Yeah, tell me about that. You were talking about that.
Well, I was telling you about did I lose this? Yes, Twisters. So at the end of Twisters, this is a spoiler discussion, by the way. I guess this is not even a spoiler. At the end of Twisters, we've got Daisy Edgar Jones is going back to New York, and Glenn Powell doesn't want her to go. Yada yada. You know the vibe, right?
Yep.
They've grown close through the whole movie. There's definitely romantic feelings brewing. He gets to the office, throws down the spikes on the truck in the parking lot there.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he goes and chases her down. Her flight's delayed, and then like they just kind of like walk off together to go get dinner. You said.
Well, I thought they said that the flights are going to be delayed to unusual winds, and that alluded to there might be another storm to go chase.
Is
What I took it as. But again, I got Mandela affected IRL in real time too, because I was like, oh wait, they didn't kiss, because I thought they said, oh, there's someone.
That's right.
Coming.
Yeah, so people are mad that they didn't kiss.
I thought they did kiss.
It's like all over the internet. People are just complaining about it.
Man.
Apparently, Steven Spielberg, who is the producer of this movie, cut it out.
Steven Spielbergo. Yeah, this doesn't seem. He's got some strokes still, like you said. I mean, this dude is like corner mafia guy. Like Spielberg still got that stroke.
I mean, So here's the kiss right here, as you can see. It was not in the movie.
So they just did that for funsies.
I'm sure they shot it. It was probably in the script, but Steven Spielberg said no. This movie's not about that. We're gonna cut it out.
What is the so?
You know, Steven, did you see the story? Steven Spielberg also produced the first one, and they were talking about Jan de Bont was having a hard time working with everybody, and the crew walked off set. The cast were ready to walk. So Steven Spielberg flew down there in a private jet and made Jan de Bont come meet him at the airport. And Steven Spielberg just opened the door to the plane and yelled at Jan de Bont from the door to the plane, and then shut the door and took off.
What?
Yeah, yeah,
Just like a drive by. Just hold on, pull over here real quick. I
yeah,
gotta
and just yelled at him. It's just like Les Grossman on that one movie on Tropic Thunder. He literally just flew over there, said, "Meet me at the airport," opened the door to the plane, cussed him out to get the movie back on track, or you're fired, and shut the door to the plane. Took off. Never even got off the plane.
That's some R. Lee Emery stuff right there. Choke yourself, not with my hand. Use your hand. It's like just show up so I can yell at you. Yeah, Spielberg might be scary. He might be the Don of Hollywood when this story.
He's got a lot of power. I feel like he picks who wins the Oscars.
Yeah, that story with Quentin when he told him pretty much. It's like, yeah, you're probably gonna get a little gold statue first time. Not bad.
Not bad.
And they were like duck hunting
But
or something.
he's very involved with all that stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So powerful
Spielberg,
guy.
what was his? We're gonna jump over to like disaster movies. Like, what was his? He has to have one, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to throw that curveball at you, but I was just like, as we're talking about it,
War of the Worlds. That was a
Worlds.
disaster. And
well, I mean, I guess.
tell me what to search. I'll search it.
Oh, well, we don't have to. I was just curious. I was like, I feel like there should have been one that like popped off at the top of our head of like a disaster movie that he did. And I'm not talking about like financial disasters. We're talking about real. But he's produced so much stuff, man, and I think that's what throws you off. I'm just talking about Spielberg straight up directing what would have been the disaster movie that he did.
Is Jurassic Park a disaster?
It's kind of an amusement park disaster a little bit.
I mean, it's
right?
it's kind of a disaster if you're being chased by dinosaurs. I
Right?
imagine.
I feel like that's kind of like some that fell apart. But I don't know. I just feel like those movies, and we're going to go through this top 10 list here. Unless you had, would you want anything else you want to point out about Twisters?
No,
No. Done.
it was a fine film.
It was a fine film. I'd like to go see it in D-Box. Is there a competing, like I know Cinemark, I think they got the trademark on D-Box. Does AMC have a version of that, like shaky seats?
I don't know about that. Regal has 4DX.
4DX, that's what they call
Yeah,
it.
which is pretty decent.
And if you're not down with 4DX, we got 2 words for you. Suck it. That's where
Oh, that was too loud.
I did see a short with it. Now that you say that, and it was 4DX, and I didn't really necessarily know what that was. But, yeah, so we think it's back, and then disaster movies are back. But did they ever really go anywhere? Because this list from...
I mean, I think they did.
You did?
I mean, I feel like they took a pause on them for a while. In the 90s, they were everywhere. That was before we had, superheroes and wizards and all that stuff. And that's pretty much everybody just wants to see lightsabers, wizards, and superheroes.
Yeah.
Since about 2002.
Do you think it's because it felt like those disaster movies felt old-fashioned? Like, because that was such a big thing from producers like the world-famous producer. I think everybody knows him, Samuel L. Bronkowitz. I don't know why. I didn't know how to segue into That's Armageddon. Can we play That's Armageddon on here?
I don't think so.
I don't think we can, right?
No.
It's, and YouTube, while we're at it, man, it's just like, I guess these people aren't there. It's not monetized, but you see like people posting movie clips and getting like thousands and thousands of views. Is it just like charity at that point? And YouTube's not going to pay them for it though, right? But they just let it sit out there?
Well, the original copyright owner gets the money.
Oh, that's how they do it.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know, man. Well, you want to start from the top of the list, and then I'll tell you my story I was going to tell you.
Wait, what were you going to say about That's Armageddon?
Oh, no, that was it. I was just like, always, when I think of disaster movies, I think, Poseidon Adventure, Tower Inferno, and then That's Armageddon, just because they got called out in that. So if you're not, Kentucky Fried Movie, for kids, if you're watching at home, is actually streaming on Peacock, unedited.
What do you mean unedited?
Unedited.
Hasn't it always been unedited?
I mean, do you remember how like hardcore Kentucky Fried Movie got?
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, like I was on Peacock and I'm like, is there like, how would you set like the parental controls? Because if you have like your kids stumble across, Catholic high school girls in trouble,
Yeah.
and they think, oh, Kentucky Fried Movie must be a movie about chicken. Is it related to like Chicken Run? And they turn that on.
Yeah.
And then you got the feel around peep show movie theater during Behind the Green Door.
I mean, these would all be TikTok videos now. Every sketch in that. And I think Catholic high school girls in trouble is probably too complicated a premise at this point as an adult film. Shout
out to Susan Joyce and Nancy Reed.
Yeah. In her classic role. But I would just feel like that's like now it's just like, hey, I'm just at my house. Yeah. It's pretty much the premise of an adult film, yeah.
Did you know the guy that in that movie that said "Show me your nuts," and then he did that? That was John Landis.
That was John Landis?
Yeah, that was John Landis. To me, that was like seeing Steven Spielberg as the tax assessor in the Blues Brothers.
I always wondered if that was Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
yeah, that's another one. But back then, they were all buddies.
They were. Yeah,
that's 100%. Why Muppet Babies. Like it's hard to. It was hard to. I don't even know if you can watch it anywhere. Can you watch Muppet Babies anywhere?
I don't know.
But anyway, they did a lot of crossover stuff because they were all pals, like Spielberg, Lucas, and whoever else. That's why you got Muppet Babies. They do a Star Wars episode, and they do an Indiana Jones episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that screwed up all the rights when digital happened.
Yeah, now you can't do it. Like who gets that?
There's all kinds of things like that. I think their Dawson's Creek is out there where they had to pull out a lot of the music.
Oh, yeah, just frustrating. But anyway. Well, yeah, let's go through this list. I took us down a dirt road, sorry. So this is from IndieWire.com. The top 10 disaster movies of all time, from the original Twister to Airplane. So, an Airplane, if you're wondering at home, is a disaster movie based on, what was the movie it was based on?
0 Hour, I think it was called.
0 Hour, which still holds, both still hold up. Do we want to skip the ones we clearly, I don't know, did you ever see John Ford's The Hurricane from 1937?
I've never seen John Ford's The Hurricane.
We'll skip that. So we're going to start at number 9 with what we already talked about, the original Twister. My RJ pointed out when he went with me, and the first time he was watching, he was just like, so this storm is actually trying to get her? It's like it was something personal, like Jaws the Revenge. And then watching Twisters, it also kind of felt like that. Like, did the storm kind of zero in and try to get them specifically? Did you feel that in the original Twister? I guess she called it out in there, right? She's like, you don't know what it's like to go watch the storm go from skip this house and go right to your house. I guess she kind of called that out like it was coming after her because she took it very personal, took her dad, and she wanted to fight it.
Right. Sure. If a shark can do it, if a shark can have personal vendetta, why not a tornado? Which, as I was watching Twister again, too, isn't it a little just like Jaws with tornadoes?
Yeah, it kind of is, I guess, right? It just could pop up out of nowhere. But yeah, Twister was 1996, and IndieWire called it fairly unremarkable. I don't remember that being considered unremarkable, right? That was a big hit. It's just like
I don't remember.
You had Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt in there, but you felt like Jamie Gertz kind of showed a different side of her, right? Like, I gotta let you go. We got cows. Did you see on Instagram on the reels? There's people dressing up as cows going to see Twisters.
That's appropriate. They didn't have a cow in Twisters, though.
No, they had a bull, right? Well, they had a bunch of bulls.
But no fly. I don't know if people would go. People would not sit for that. If you had a cow flying through a tornado, animal rights activists would be upset about that.
That's true.
I think that's just kind of where we are now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, different times. When did that happen? Was it after 2020? Like everyone's just like tiptoeing around everything, but
I don't know,
it
but
did
it's
happen.
definitely a thing now.
But this, like you said, I liked how you called out, like you said, Glenn Powell's character, was just more like a YouTube cowboy, where Bill Paxton's was, I guess, a little bit more official, right? Because he was technically a TV weatherman.
Right, but I never bought that.
No?
He was a weatherman. Is that what he was going to be, or he was going to go work at the Weather Channel?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he was going to be he was going to go work at something like the Weather Channel. Like whenever there's like a hurricane or something like that, you watch the. I follow the dude on Twitter that he goes everywhere in the storm. I don't know if he was going to be like an action-packed one or just the guy that's kind of throwing magnets up at the green screen.
You know what was wild as I was watching that first Twister again, or I guess just Twister? They were doing all this, chasing tornadoes with like paper maps and Commodore 64s.
That's right, and just like walking, yeah, no tech at all.
No tech.
Yeah. Would you go chase a storm like that?
I don't know.
You into that?
I don't know.
You can pay for that now. They have those like big things. They look like tanks and they're so low to the ground like they can't move, and you can pay to like sit in a tornado.
I have no idea. I've never heard of that.
I
What is
don't-
that called?
I don't know what it's called either,
Oh.
but I mean, I guess it's the equivalent of jumping in a tank, a cage with sharks in the water, but except you just get to sit there. I don't know. I'll do the one like we saw at Alamo Draft House last night, where you put $1 in there or press the button and just know what the wind feels like. But I'm not going to go in any tank, because what if there's just like one freak gust that's going to pull you up,
Yeah.
or like the tornado is going to be like, oh no, you didn't, and like figured out how to. I wouldn't do it. But I don't know. I thought that was a great movie, so I'm surprised they called it fairly unremarkable. There's some fairly unremarkable disaster movies. I'm looking at you, Day After Tomorrow. I'm looking at you, 2012. Like, I don't even remember anything about those.
What? Those were great.
Really?
You don't like those?
I. Nah,
See, because that was the period when people were getting tired of disaster movies.
maybe that's why.
They had a run from like, what is it, Independence Day, all the way through. I don't know their first kind of 3 or 4 of them. Roland Emmerich and his crew. They were winners.
I don't know. I guess the 2012 where my headspace was in there. I definitely did not feel that. The Day After Tomorrow, I don't remember. I just don't remember. I guess they were fairly unremarkable to steal from any. I don't know. I have to rewatch, but I wasn't feeling those. You
The
you
day
liked them?
after, you're talking about The Day After Tomorrow, where the world freezes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's great.
Really?
Yeah, and 2012. 2012 is awesome.
2012 has John Cusack?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's literally the hugest movie ever, in a lot of ways.
I think because I was at the time I was doing a lot of metaphysical studies and stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody, I was kind of like very anti 2012, where people were like, "You don't understand, the world is gonna end," and I was like, "No, it's gonna be the opposite of that." And now, turns out we were both wrong, right? That is, in my opinion, where the timeline split, and we turned out in this wonky one. But I was of the mind of just like, oh no, I think it's going to be consciousness upgrades. I don't think it's going to be something like destructive. And then that movie came out, and then it kind of really spooked a lot of people too. So
I think it's a lot of fun. It's basically it's Independence Day just cranked up to 11. Yeah,
was Jake Gyllenhaal in The Day After Tomorrow?
Jake Gyllenhaal's in Day After Tomorrow. I think I prefer 2012 to The Day After Tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah. It's just yeah.
I only saw each one of them once, and I didn't see 2012 in the theater. I did see Day
It's
After.
more of and that's the thing. It's like a guilty pleasure. It's not like it's not a classic or anything like that.
Okay.
But on Saturday afternoon TNT kind of thing, you're just like, hey, this is pretty good.
I can see that. I can totally feel
This is
that.
pretty good, actually.
That feels like a Saturday afternoon TNT. I can see you watching it there.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm scrolling through this list. have a feeling we haven't seen a lot of these.
Yeah.
Did you go through this list? All right.
I did. I didn't. Number 8 was Burning Sea. I did not see that. That
Let's
was
go through this. Let's go
2021.
through this real fast. Here we go.
That looks like the guy from Please Don't Destroy on SNL, right? So I don't know.
The
if
Burning Sea. What is
Yeah.
this about? Oil rig collapse. I never heard of this at all. What channel was this on?
Yeah, I don't know. And it was 2021.
Yeah. Feel like we would have heard of that. All right, what else we got? The Impossible. I didn't see that one either.
No, I felt like there was another India tsunami that like Clint Eastwood made. So I remember you were talking about this earlier, where you would have these competing movies, and we'll get into that. I don't remember The Impossible. I remember Clint Eastwood's though.
Yeah.
That one was a little tougher, man, because dude, that was like 500,000 people that got wiped out, and that was like to be that true story, and then make that a movie. I kind of put that along with the 9/11 movies that I never watched, because I was like, no, I don't want to watch that. I mean, when you live through it, you don't really want to necessarily watch it, you know?
Yeah. But didn't see it. On the Beach, 1959.
No, definitely didn't see
Didn't
that.
see it. I don't know.
I feel like we saw the top 5.
It's set in a
Poseidon
world
Adventure.
where it says nuclear warfare has rendered all but the southeastern Australia inhabitable. Oh, that's pretty heavy for 1959.
Yeah.
Okay, never saw that one though.
Fear.
Okay, Anywhere is just trying to be, smart here. It's like a smarty pants list.
Say this was a deep dig.
The Poseidon Adventure.
I love the Poseidon Adventure.
Never saw it.
You never saw the Poseidon
I've
Adventure?
never seen the Poseidon
See,
Adventure.
I was talking about this earlier. I mean, this is one of the first times I remember seeing Gene Hackman in Poseidon Adventures. But then it had like the cast of like these actors that like your parents probably grew up watching, like
Sure.
Ernest Borgnine, Jack Albertson, Shelley Winters. There was just something about that boat going completely upside down. Like I didn't watch. I think I did watch the remake with the Rogue Wave.
I didn't watch that
of
one
the
either.
But just the original one, it was one of those movies. Like, you ever have those movies when you're growing up and your parents just throw a movie on, and you're like, it's a movie as a kid you never would have watched, but then it kind of pulls you in.
Sure.
But I feel like that's what happened with 2 of these movies on this list, but one of them was the Poseidon Adventure, and I just remember Shelley Winters being heavier than she ever been, and she's like, I used to be an Olympic swimmer, and then Gene Hackman in a turtleneck looking like Christian Cage in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
I dug this one. Like, I like this a lot. Like, I would love to see, this was a VHS movie for me. Like, I was clearly before I was born, so I wasn't going to watch it in theaters. I would love the opportunity to watch something like this on the big screen again.
Yeah, never saw that one. I don't
No.
know. Just flew by me. Neither that or the remake.
The Rogue Wave.
Next up, number 4 is Contagion.
Yeah.
Okay, again, this is a smarty pants list.
Yeah.
Why would you even put this on the list of movies at all?
Yeah, this is, and well, man,
Like
it was,
this doesn't count anymore. When reality becomes a movie and movie becomes reality,
Right, exactly.
it's gone. It's blended into. We don't even acknowledge that this is
yeah,
a movie.
I totally agree.
But it is a good movie. Anyway, damn fine film. Did you know that Gwyneth Paltrow's head in the box, which we never saw in 7, we only saw outside of the box, but the head from the box is in this movie.
Really?
Yes, they used it for the double when Gwyneth Paltrow dies of the virus, but they made the head for 7, but never showed it on screen.
They never showed it.
Yeah.
Which I guess that worked out really well for
Worked
them.
out well.
And look,
But,
and then they got to double dip a little bit.
but it's in here. But anyway, this is again. I don't acknowledge this movie.
Smarty Pants list.
Yeah, The Towering Inferno.
Yeah, same thing, man, dude. This one is another one that my parents just threw on. It grossed over 200 million, and this is 1974.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big. I mean, that's the year before Jaws.
Yeah.
So this is the closest you had to like a blockbuster at the time. But I mean, it's Paul Newman.
yeah.
And Paul Newman and Steve McQueen too. I
Together.
forgot- Yeah.
Oh, that's like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah,
team up.
exactly. So again, I just have nothing but fond memories, pretty much from almost every movie Paul Newman was in. But this one really stuck with me too.
Okay, so you're not gonna believe it, but never saw it.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Never saw it. And the only thing I know about the Towering Inferno is I remember in Cheech and Chong's next movie when he sneaks on the lot. and his clothes are all burned. He's like, I'm with the towering inferno. Hey, thanks. We Go Fishing. We Go Fishing complimented our live stream. We have a nice professional looking live stream.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks for watching.
You. Yeah, thanks for watching.
Give us a subscribe.
Yes, please.
But yeah, that's how Cheech sneaks on the lot. But never saw this one. This one just snuck by me too. I mean, it's just in that period where probably when these were well, and honestly, and this is before VHS tapes, you know.
Right.
So it's not like this movie was readily available. It played once a year on ABC or something like that.
That's exactly
and they'd break it up into 2 nights or something.
That's exactly it, man. I mean, we never got those that opportunity to see some of these on the big screen. I mean, these were in the screens that were the big screen, but I mean, it was like old school theaters. Like, I would love to see, like, maybe we should talk to like Agfa, and it's just like, why wouldn't you want to show like Towering Inferno at like the Bob Bullock IMAX and just stretch that sucker out? Let's see what this looks like.
Well, I think you'd have to redo something. You have to do something with that. I don't know. You have to have like a 4K. I don't. It would take some things. It would take some science.
Yeah.
You can't just like zoom out.
Film science.
like
just zoom out.
Like the projector in your conference room.
Yes. Oh man.
All right, Talent First.
Well, you did see the top 2.
Let's see.
Top 2 you definitely saw.
Again, I don't understand this choice either. You
don't understand Airplane is like a disaster?
It does. It's the only comedy on here. This is a weird thing. Like if you want there's really no disaster action. It's just sight gags in the cabin of the plane.
In a bad storm, right? It was.
Yeah.
See, yeah, and
no disaster actually happens.
No.
So I don't understand this.
Actually, yeah, disaster is averted.
Disaster's averted,
by
yeah.
Ted Stryker.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this list at all. But it is a fine film.
I guess because it was based on 0 Hour, which I'm pretty sure a disaster did happen in that one, but I've never watched 0 Hour, which I need to. If you for watching at home, 1957 0 Hour is what inspired Airplane, and they shot it just as straight. Neither one was shot as a comedy.
Right. And scene by scene they would do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is kind of an odd choice to me, but a fine film. And then number 1 is, of course, everybody's favorite. I think this is the first 2-tape set everybody owned, right?
Yeah.
Was there anything before that? I guess if you had maybe Scarface or
maybe Scarface,
something like that, but probably the biggest selling 2-cassette set ever in history.
So for Titanic, like I saw it on opening weekend, not having any idea that it was going to turn into what it turned into. I just went to see the guy who did Terminator and Aliens, and he's going to terminate what, T2? Aliens?
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, he's going to do something with the Titanic. I had no idea it was going to turn into something that we're still talking about years later. Did you?
Well, I just remember they talked about it for months and months on Entertainment Tonight and like sort of a news, but it was always about how horribly over budget the movie was and how it was going to be a disaster and everything was crashing or whatever. And like they had, you heard about how, because I mean, apparently James Cameron is just a terror to work for.
I've heard that, yeah.
And there was the one incident where somebody spiked the lunch with a bunch of LSD.
What?
Yeah, you can look up, and so it shut down production. Yeah, somebody spiked. They were having some kind of soup, and they spiked it with a bunch of LSD or angel dust, or I don't even know what kind of drugs the kids were into. But like everybody started tripping on set all at once.
Oh my god, I did not hear that story.
Yeah, I should look up that story. But
dude, man,
good
ribs like that are rough. That's a rough rib, man.
Like the halcyon in your beer.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, haha, I shaved your pubes and your eyebrows. Wait, what? Yeah, you were out cold, bro. It's like, well, you could have cut my kidney out. Ha.
But I think this movie succeeded so well because it gives you about 35 minutes, 40 minutes of a love story, which is great, setting it up. And then another 2 hours of just complete chaos, disaster, and action. Right?
Yeah. No, that's fair to say. But the romance angle, I guess, is what I had no idea that what we were getting into with that. Like, I mean, there's people that were into that portion of the story that were going to see it like half a dozen times in the theaters, like over and over again.
Yeah.
Which that really drove up the box office.
Yeah.
Were those repeat viewings?
I did. I had some repeat viewings of this. I thought it was really good.
It was great. No,
Yeah.
it was a great movie. I just had no idea. I was expecting more of a disaster movie, and I think a lot of people look at Titanic as just a love story, not a disaster movie. I went for the disaster movie,
Yeah.
and they got a love story, and I saw it, and it's fine. I had no issues with it. I just had no idea that it was going to turn into what it was going to turn into.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's James Cameron. Don't bet against him, man. You can't bet against him. He's calling his shots like Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
With his, he called it with Avatar, and that was another one I was there first week, but I still had no idea. It was like he couldn't do that again, and he did.
Oh, and the Avatar 2 is just like, there's no way this is going to be good.
Yeah, exactly, and you just keep betting against him.
So, yeah, okay. Thank you,
IndieWire,
for your
man.
Smarty Pants list.
You want to pick your biggest? Well, I think you already. I'm going to call my shot. I'm going to pick my biggest problem with this list.
What is it?
To me, when you talk about that disaster movies, I told you earlier before the show, the original Barbenheimer was Deep Impact versus Armageddon. We were talking about 90s movies are back. Like, how do you leave those off the list? That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Back then, it was just like a race to get those out into the theaters. And, I mean, I think Armageddon won.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that and loved it. And that was like late 90s. Man, and we were talking about 90s being back with Twister and Bad Boys actually being good. Like, Armageddon is right smacked in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
With like those 90s movies, Face Off and The Rock, all that exact feel. But did you like both Armageddon and Deep Impact?
Yeah, I like them both. I like them both separately in different ways. Armageddon's good. We're not gonna say it's not good. I think Deep Impact is more of a serious take.
Yeah,
And
so.
I think I liked and Deep Impact is the only one where the meteor actually hits.
Right, exactly.
Disaster's averted in Armageddon.
Right, it is averted.
Yeah.
And they don't have to pay taxes.
Yes.
Ever.
Right. And they're gonna find out who shot JFK.
Yes. Right.
They should have done a post credit
They
with Michael
100%
Clark
should've.
Duncan staying at the White House.
They 100%.
Remember? But anyway,
we're talking like Bruce Willis versus Morgan Freeman. Like the casting in here, like the cast everything was great in both of these films. But Armageddon, I guess, sticks with me more, and I don't know if it's because of Aerosmith or like it would be a meme this day, like Ben Affleck doing that accent when he was playing what's her name, what's her name?
Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler's belly button. I mean, I don't know. It feels like it would be a meme now, but yeah, it just hit great back then.
if you ever get the chance, you listen to the commentary. I think it's probably on YouTube. The commentary, and Ben Affleck is on it, and I think that's another thing that we're losing with like physical media. If we don't stick with it, is just drunk celebrities on commentaries. They probably don't do it anymore, but back then there's some where you could tell they're hammered. But anyway, if you listen to the Armageddon one, Ben Affleck is just completely burying this movie. He's like making fun of the logic of the movie. And he's like, why would you train? Wouldn't it make more sense to train astronauts to drill than to train drillers to be astronauts?
Oh, but it just helped us suspend. It just helped create a story.
It's like Bruce Willis walks into NASA and it's just like, oh, your designs suck. I need to redo all your moon rovers. Anyway, but like, yeah, you should listen to it. And he's just like cracking up because he's saying like Michael Bay kept telling him to shut up when he was questioning the logic of the script.
And I mean, as much as he's become a meme himself, I mean, he's clearly a talented writer and actor and director. So I mean, for him to be calling that out, I mean, I guess it would sting a little bit more than like us on YouTube saying, "Oh, what'd you do that for?" When Ben Affleck's kind of calling you out on it.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a little gold man, not bad.
That's right. But that's yeah, that was a thing. But yeah, Armageddon was great, but I don't see why that wouldn't be on somebody's list.
How is that not? And here's the: did you know in 1997, which I believe was the year before, that we had the Meteor version of Barbenheimer, we had a volcano version of Barbenheimer of Dante's Peak versus Volcano.
Oh yeah, well I don't know. This just seems to happen a lot in Hollywood,
Yeah,
right?
you're
An
calling that,
idea
right?
gains traction, and then like multiple studios are trying to produce this idea because you had the volcano rush, you had the meteor rush, then the early '80s you had sort of like the underwater rush for a while,
that's
where it was like Deep Star 6 and Leviathan and the Abyss.
Oh, I love The Abyss, another James Cameron classic. But you're right. I don't know if it's like a glitch in the Matrix or just like the muse tickles two people at the same time and then it becomes race. But that duality of those films coming out, and Dante's Peak and Volcano, you had freaking James Bond versus Tommy Lee Jones, right? Pierce Bronson versus Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember Dante's Peak more than Volcano, so I guess I'm going to have to go with Dante's Peak. But truthfully, I don't remember either of them the way you remember Armageddon.
I think I saw Dante's Peak more. I don't remember Volcano either.
Okay. What about, you were talking about, I guess we already talked about it. Day After Tomorrow was 2004. I feel like maybe Independence Day was just changed everything. But I don't know why. I guess I should say, what made you like Day After Tomorrow so much?
Well, Day After Tomorrow, I mean, I don't love that one as much as
You
Independence
said-
Day.
Or 2012, you said you liked
I like 2012 better. I think 2012 is up there with Independence Day. About the same. It just doesn't have the rousing speeches, but it's Independence Day cranked up to 11.
Got it.
It's just the same mad rush to escape disaster.
And the cast in Day After Tomorrow, Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal, I mean, that's solid. Solid cast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to see where my mind was at that time.
I can
In the early
understand like
2Ks.
not being into it at the time because I think we had just had a lot of disaster movies.
Yeah.
And I might not have been into it at the time either, but I know that when it comes on now, I leave it on.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies.
Well, I've been going to let the channels curate what I'm going to watch, and if I have it on next to the TV when I'm at work, I'm going to leave it on. I'm going to see what happens, because your changes, things change, right? Your tastes change. You
Your
go
tastes
back
change,
and you watch a movie,
you
and
got to let your taste change.
yeah. So
Try new things, but like Independence Day, I mean, that's like one of the greatest like ad drops of all time. Was on the Super Bowl. They just showed the White House exploding.
oh man, yeah.
No one had ever seen that.
Yeah. No, that people were so psyched. I remember that was one of I hadn't seen a line around out the door and around the theater in a long time. This was 1997. And then when I pulled up and I saw it with Wayne, friend of the show, and I'm like, dude, is that the line for Independence Day? And this was back when you actually had to go to the theater. You looked in the newspaper or you called, movie phone, and you had to go to the theater and buy your ticket. You weren't buying it on your phone. You didn't have a reserved seat. And there was a line out the door, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And I think it was all because of that ad.
I mean, definitely grabbed me, man. I was there opening day. Now, I mean, I guess you could say it's a little bit of it's kind of silly at this point. I think but every July 4th, I feel like it's worth a watch. What's up, Kraylax? Day After Tomorrow is a good one.
It is a good one. Yeah, dude, also friend of the show, Josh, who owns Blue Starlight, who unfortunately got robbed again. He's been robbed at every drive-in that he's had in Austin, which sucks. So if you're doing that, stop that shit. But he had a special where he showed Independence Day and then fireworks on screen after Independence Day. That was
Nice.
the first time we went to Blue Starlight. So that is, yeah. That is definitely 4th of July viewing for sure. I mean, we're gonna do a show about that. I don't want to do any spoilers, but it's gonna be around Bill Pullman because that just hits right. We talked about that, right?
No.
Did I?
Which
I
one?
I didn't dream that. You had an idea for a show that we're gonna probably do coming up, maybe closer to the election.
I don't remember.
Best theatrical presidents.
Oh, you're talking about this? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, our show.
Presidents of. Okay, gotcha. I thought you were talking about doing a screening or something.
Oh no. But yeah, what a performance he did, which made part 2 being so bad so sad. You didn't like Independence Day 2, right? You did or didn't?
No, it was terrible.
Okay.
They just should not have made that movie. No Will Smith, no movie.
Yeah.
You know, it just didn't make any sense.
And now, ironically, Will Smith probably would have did it right now, and Jeff Goldblum has still kind of got this Bill Murray thing going on where everybody loves him.
Yeah.
You can book those two in that movie right now, and that movie would have a completely different trajectory.
We'll see if that comes back around, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it,
That was pretty bad, that last one.
it was. This one is one that you recommended to me, and I loved it. And this is not only a true disaster film, but it's a true storm film. Was Crawl. Crawl was so freaking good, man. Crawl was so good.
Yeah, Crawl is. It's definitely a disaster movie. It's a hurricane.
Yeah, and the hurricane actually hits.
Yep.
It's kind of a double disaster. It's like the hurricane hits, and then you got the Crocs in the water.
Right.
Man, it's just like
It's a bit of a home invasion too.
it's a little bit. Of,
It's a croc home invasion
Croc
during
home
a hurricane.
invasion. Sorry, I'm starting to take notes as I try to remember these things. But we were watched on Joe Bob, Gator, and I had seen it before. Do you think Gator, a double billing of Gator and Crawl, just goes to show how much that type of terror has changed? Because Gator can't be good, but Crawl was like lift your feet good, and you're like, why are you lifting your feet? Not even in the water.
I mean, definitely. Like, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought because when you said Gator, I was thinking of Burt Reynolds' Gator.
Oh,
and I was like, Gator and Crawl. Well, maybe that could work. That's a good. That's a good double feature.
oh, Kralak, you called it. Wizard of Oz is the OG disaster movie. Yeah,
That's the OG Twisters.
Yeah, that's the OG Twister. Maybe that was the prequel. Like that was their Pearl prequel. Somehow they. Did they? They showed the storm, right? Yeah, because the witch was riding in the storm, so you actually did get the storm back there, which is
Well, yeah, because the tornado blew the house away.
yeah, he was pretty good for the 30s. Which, by the way, again, I think we already talked about this, but Wicked. What is there something going on that like the Wicked Witch of the West is having a baby face turn?
I think that's what the play's about. I've never seen it, but yeah,
I didn't see it either.
yeah.
I'll see the film. It's going to be November. It feels like a winter movie to go watch.
I mean, it's weird because they're hiding the fact that it's a musical.
Yeah.
That seems to be the trend now, where they just make musicals but do not want to reveal in the trailer that it's a musical.
They're going to surprise people. Yeah, because we watched the new. Did you watch the new Joker trailer that dropped?
Yeah, I watched it.
Do you get the feeling that that's going to be a musical?
Yeah, yeah. I
feel
do.
like they're- I mean-
I think that movie's going to be something very different, and yeah, I really don't know. I apparently some of the early reviews say it's mind blowing work of art. I don't know.
I'll be there. Wicked. I'm definitely going to be there. Oh man, you called it right there, dude. The Perfect Storm was left off of all of these lists. How do you leave The Perfect Storm off of here?
Yeah, that's another winner.
Wasn't Shooter McGavin the weather guy in there? And he's like, The Perfect Storm. And just remember that in the trailer? I like that. That was 2000. So, I mean, again, you're right. We were still riding, ironically, a wave of, and I just remember George Clooney talking about Big Dumb Ducks and Mark Wahlberg floating in the water. John C. Reilly was in that. Diane Lane was in that. That was a great film.
Yeah.
How do you leave The Perfect Storm off a list of
Well,
storms?
let's see. We've got this other list as well, and let me just kind of scroll through it too.
Yeah, I was kind of going through. Are you going through the Vulture one?
Yeah.
K-19, the Widowmaker.
That's this. Isn't that about a submarine?
That's what I thought. Oh, that was Catherine Bigelow. Yeah, I don't know if that would.
Hard Rain. I never saw.
You never saw that? That was with Christian.
Yeah. Earthquake 1974. I never saw.
Charlton Heston.
Yeah, I didn't see that. The Day the Earth Caught Fire. I know.
No, I didn't see that either.
Greenland. I saw that was really good.
Oh, I do remember Greenland. I don't remember The Wave.
The Wave. Not at all. Airport. Airplane. San Francisco.
No.
Okay.
Melancholia? That's a storm?
That's like a. I think that's like a Lars von Trier movie.
In that sense, one might say this is the ultimate disaster movie. An apocalyptic drama features in one of her greatest roles as a depressed, troubled woman who, ironically, becomes the one person who can keep it all together when it's real, but that a rogue planet is headed towards Earth and will soon destroy our planet. Oh, I forgot about that portion of the movie where a freaking planet, another planet was flying towards them.
That doesn't. I mean, yeah, it's another. This is another smarty pants list, man. I don't know.
Yeah, because would you consider they have number 3? They have the Birds. The Birds, I wouldn't put that as a disaster. The Birds is a great movie, but a disaster movie? No, that would be like saying like Jaws is a disaster movie. I would say The Birds is like a monster movie.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I feel like it would be a disaster if all the birds attacked us.
I mean, it definitely would be a disaster, but like, I don't know. I guess, are we just thinking? And I saw a funny tweet when somebody said, "I wish the Earth would start to kick our ass. We deserve it." But like, I guess I'm just thinking about stuff that's caused by this planet and or another planet and or forces from planets, whether it be wave or solar flares or like a lightning movie. Hard Rain. I would put Hard Rain as a disaster movie.
It's a flood.
Yeah, because it's kind of a flood.
I mean, The Rock has been in a few disaster movies. Now he did like San Andreas.
Oh yeah, he did the San Andreas one. Yeah.
And there was one where he kind of did the Towering Inferno gimmick.
Oh yeah, he did, and he did that big run and the jump. Wait, how did the Rock was in 2 movies that didn't have a jungle?
Yeah.
That theory, man.
You had, let's see, The Happening. That was a disaster movie.
The Happening was a disaster. Nobody's thinking about the bees. Why is that not on the list?
I think that one's more known for its comedic takes.
Yeah.
Kralak says, "What about No Escape?" I never saw No Escape. That's kind of the one that I mix up with the other one, The Impossible.
Yeah, I didn't see that. The Mist, I got heat with, and I mean, I guess The Mist, the ending, just really, even though it was very true, exactly what it was to the book, man. But it's just like being a dad, when you hear that, you're like, bro, what the hell did you do that for? You should have just ate it yourself. But anyway, I would say The Mist was The Fog, right? Because I think The Mist and The Fog are in the same vein, although The Fog is just more.
Fog's more of a ghost story. I don't think that's a disaster. I think The Mist is more of, The Mist feels more disastery.
Because it was the entire planet, right? Where the fog just followed.
Well, I guess we don't know. Well, the fog is like the ghost, the pirates whose treasure was stolen and their ghosts come back.
Yeah.
I mean, their treasure was stolen by the church. Look, there's a lot of Daylight with Sylvester Stallone, 96. That was a pretty good disaster movie. They were trapped in a tunnel.
Oh, yep. I do remember that.
Don't Look Up, recent film. That was a disaster movie.
Oh, yeah, the one on Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that would fall into there. That almost had a comedic take to it, right?
Well, yeah, 100%. It was a comedy, yeah.
Let's take, what say you, Reddit? They put 28 Days Later as a disaster movie. I wouldn't put that. Oh, The Core. Yes, The Core. I think, again, you're going, You got to go to the middle of the earth to save it. Again, the earth is attacking, so I think that would fall as a disaster movie, right?
The core,
Yeah.
I could see that, but I'm seeing. I guess I'm seeing a lot of films here. The '70s was a big time for disaster
Yeah,
movies
100%.
because we've got Avalanche, we've got Cyclone, we got Mount St. Helens,
Yeah, they loved it back then,
the
man.
Great Los Angeles Earthquake.
They loved shaking things up back then.
So I think that was lots of asteroid films in the '90s. Asteroid Impact.
Did you see in 2017 Geostorm?
I didn't see that one. No.
I think that would go in there. Oh, got to restart the Earth's core. Yeah, just drill to the middle and reboot. What was This is Sparta was in Geostorm, right? I did not see that. I mean, I guess that would kind of fall along the lines of just like when space attacks, right?
What?
Which would be Geostorm. Like just now it would be considered a disaster in the sense of like we're not going to knock over houses and pummel buildings and rip trees up and flood, but like we're going to send an IMP and then nothing's going to work. Which we were talking about the Mist having the worst ending. One of the best endings to me was that the day the Earth stood still, when they're like, okay, we're gonna spare you, but we got to take one thing from you, and they're like, cool, we'll be fine, and they fly away. Boom, all electricity ceases to work. I was like, oh snap, that was dope. That would be. Can you imagine just like zero electricity in like anywhere? That's crazy. Like in this day and age.
If the internet shut down, society would collapse in under 3 hours.
Just the internet alone, right? If there was power, right?
Yes. If cell phones stop working, society collapses in less than half a day. Moonfall, I didn't see. Well, no, I did try to watch Moonfall. It was it's pretty much it's like every Roland Emmerich gimmick crammed into one movie.
That is very true. I think I'm just laughing because I feel like I wrote a script that had a scientist running to their Jeep. That is a scene where a scientist looks at a screen, then runs to their car holding a piece of paper. You got to have a scientist running to it.
I bet Tubi has a great disaster movies page.
Oh, man. Shout out to Tubi again.
What's going on Tubi?
Yeah.
So there's probably, I think it's just something that is. See, the thing is, you can't copyright a tornado, right? No. So expect to see more Twisters movies coming soon. Now that Twisters is a hit, we'll get a reboot of that Tornado with Bruce Campbell from the 90s, Tornado Apocalypse.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're going to go for it now. Did you like did you have any heat with how the Twisters looked in Twister? Speaking of, because sci-fi is going to have one and it's going to have CGI, but I remember some people were complaining about the storms in there. I didn't have any problems with it.
No, I didn't know. No, it looked fine to me.
Yeah. But I think you're right. There's more coming. What about Seeking a Friend for the End of the World? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that not too long ago.
Is that disaster movie adjacent where
it's adjacent? It's adjacent. It's like, the world's ending in 20 days or something, and let's have a final adventure.
Yeah.
But it's more of like an indie art film kind of deal, romantic comedy. Not indie art film. It's more like romantic comedy. Here's Tubi's page. We got lots of good options, and like the thing about these movies is sometimes you'll get one and it's not half bad, and it's just like this movie is fine and executed. Well, and they put in the effort and they got it done. But then there's some things on Tubi where it's just like everything is in their garage, like every scene. There's like no microphones, but they've got a great poster and a great premise.
Yeah.
We got Continental Split, Armageddon 2025, Mayday Disaster.
Look at that page.
We got Solar Impact, Absolute Zero. So I'm telling you can't copyright a disaster.
Oh yeah, isn't there a disaster? Wasn't it called It's a Disaster Movie?
Well, that's when they were doing spoofs of everything, and they just called it
right.
Yeah, disaster movie.
Okay. That did so it's a premise that definitely got the scary movie treatment, so that's something. I don't know if Tubi. I'm not seeing anything there, and that's good. I wouldn't consider anything that is just like, even though it takes out the planet, I wouldn't count anything like, say, The Road or any kind of like zombie movie. I wouldn't put anything along those lines as consider them disaster movies, even though they are. But I mean, just talking about like, this is just like the Earth saying enough. Does that make sense? I don't know if I would count that. Like 10 Cloverfield Lane. Clearly, something happened on the planet, right, where they were in the bunker.
Yeah.
But which I would consider that still just more of a monster movie.
You'd consider that a monster movie?
More than I would a disaster movie,
You mean
right?
as John Goodman being the monster?
And yeah, and then what's outside as well. But yeah, a little bit of both. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought I
I
was.
wouldn't say call it a disaster movie.
Yeah.
It's not big. I mean,
What about-
these are like these small stories. Like even The Last of Us, you can, if you say that, right? The fungus is coming after you, but like,
Well, I think it gets lumped in there because Cloverfield was a disaster movie.
Yeah.
The first one.
but that was kaiju disasters, right?
Right. So, but isn't this happening at the same time? I thought that was the whole idea.
Yeah. That was happening at the same time, right? Oh
Yeah.
man.
And meanwhile, they're also in space having a third thing.
Having a paradox.
Yeah.
In space. Man, that was, how exciting was that? You were talking about Super Bowl trailer dropped. How exciting was that when all of a sudden, like, watch the new Cloverfield right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And no one knew that was coming. That was great. Everyone just talks about how Netflix, makes people angry, but they fed us, they gave us roses that day. I was very happy with that.
They cast a wide net. They throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall, and sometimes just it really sticks. But there's a lot of spaghetti all over the floor.
There definitely is. Would Idiocracy fall in there, or is that another disaster adjacent? Because you don't really know what happened, right? The disaster was everyone just got super stupid.
No, it was the disaster was the garbage.
Oh yeah, they didn't know
tidal
what to
wave.
do with the garbage anymore.
The garbage tidal wave broke everything.
Every time I drive on the toll road, just think that they shot a lot of the movie there, right, when the toll roads were still being built. Driving over in the studio, and that's cool. And then seeing Crocs,
Right.
just like, we need the stupidest pair of shoes you can get. Here's some Crocs, and now, dude, like they're comfortable, and then you're like, yeah, $70,
$70, please.
$70 for Crocs.
They were just a startup back then, and Mike Judge thought they were ridiculous. It's like no one's ever going to wear these.
Oh man, boy, were you wrong. So what would you say? I mean, we just went through a lot of those, and I didn't see any of the ones that you were going through Tubi at all. Did any of those look familiar, or they were all just like?
Now these are all little indie knockoffs. That's what I was telling you the other day. Is like Tubi is the new playground for independent filmmakers. You can actually make a film and get it on Tubi.
And how I would love to know like how much the filmmaker gets for that, right?
Well, it's ad revenue.
It's ad based, right?
Tubi's all ad based, so if your movie's getting plays, you're making ad revenue.
Oh, okay. So that's a great idea. Good on you, Tubi. I didn't even think about that. It's just like, yeah, just put it out there, and I wonder if can you follow like directors and producers around there, or is it just like you go with a genre?
I mean, there's definitely directors that make Tubi films on the regular, and there's other platforms where you can also get your movies on there and license them. But I've been following this one director named Jay Horton and the stuff he's putting out, and he does watching his YouTube videos. Apparently, he does really well. But like, I watched about 30 minutes of Cocaine Shark the other day, and that one's like extremely low budget, and most of it is just like a guy looking at files. And I'm sure there's a shark scene at the end, but watched it long enough to get the ad feed. So good on Cocaine Shark.
Yeah, I mean it worked. So when you think disaster movie, what's the number one that pops in your head?
The number
The number one movie that pops in your head when someone says Oh, this is your favorite disaster movie, or what disaster movie would you recommend? What makes you think disaster movie?
I mean, I just think of Roland Emmerich. You know, his filmography is just all disasters.
Yeah,
I mean,
fair.
they did Stargate, which was, I think they were going through the Stargate to prevent a disaster, maybe,
Oh, you're right. I think they
if
were.
I'm right. But everything after that was a disaster movie, including like Godzilla.
Kaiju disasters. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've rewatched that again. Yeah, and I did not enjoy it. I wanted to.
What,
I mean,
Godzilla?
You had Godzookies in MSG.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Godzilla? What is it? Godzilla Final Wars?
No.
Where we've got this new. It's one of the Toho ones from the early 2000s. But basically, he's taking out Godzilla's like traveling the world, taking out these other kaiju's, and he comes to America and he fights the American Godzilla, that version from the Roland Emmerich.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh, now that's a good idea. 'Cause,
Yeah,
I mean,
and-
I still
takes him out quick. Like they make a joke of
just
it. but-
finished it off.
Yeah.
And that was the revenge, right? Because remember that trailer made such a big deal where there was a T-Rex sitting there and Godzilla just stepped on it. Like, T-Rex is nothing compared to Godzilla.
Oh, no doubt. I was excited for Godzilla. I thought it was going to be great. I
Yeah.
had the opening night tickets where I got the little piece of film and everything like that.
Man,
The collector's cup.
that was just a bummer. Now, granted, I also at the same time, some of these bad ones, they hold a special place in Hollywood history that I feel like they should be remembered, even if it's for a bad reason, but you should also maybe not watch. You know the number one that I think of anytime somebody says a disaster movie.
What is that?
Daniel L. Bronkowitz production of That's Armageddon.
I freaking love that, man. But honestly, I do think of that, and ironically, they're both the Zuckers and Abrams, and I think of Airplane, and I think of That's Armageddon from Kentucky Fried Movie. But if you had if gun to my head, like the movies that I would think of when I'm thinking disaster movies, what I said: Poseidon Adventure, Towering Inferno, Armageddon, Deep Impact. Like, those are the ones that kind of jump out at me, just like, that's a disaster movie. And then Twister. I'll put Twister in there too if you needed it for 5 or 6.
What about the day after?
See, again, I feel like I see that as definitely considered a disaster movie, but that's people attacking versus the Earth attacking you.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's in my head. It's just like the Earth and or another planet or force of nature has to attack you, even though some of these are caused by forces of nature. But you were talking about, so you expect big theatrical releases of disaster movies to come back, or you think it's just going to be on streaming and TV, or both?
Well, yeah. I mean, all those are intertwined. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you would expect right now there's more tornado scripts. Everybody who's making movies for Tubi right now is pitching their tornado script. Yeah. Maybe we'll get a Sharknado resurgence. This might be a good time for that. But I think a disaster is just kind of a general idea that any studio can just do and do indefinitely.
Yeah.
We're going to get a Twisters 3 where they're going to fight tornadoes, I'm pretty sure.
I like dude, you came up with the title the other day when you texted it. Tornado Tamer.
Well, that's what they're
Twister Tamer,
called,
right?
In Twisters.
The just Tamers?
That's what they call themselves at the beginning of the movie, but they all get sucked up into the tornado.
And they get sucked in
They
there
didn't do a
anyway.
very good job, but I think now with the help of bottle rockets and polystyrean, polyfoam, whatever they shoot into that tornado to bring it down,
Yeah.
they have the tools. Okay, look, here's a couple other ones that just we don't. I guess again, maybe this category is too broad.
It's very broad, for
But
sure.
there was. Did you ever see this one from the '80s called Miracle Mile?
Miracle Mile. I don't think I
Okay,
have.
so it was Anthony Michael Hall or somebody like one of those guys, and basically it's a guy in L.A. gets a phone call on a payphone, answers a random payphone, and it's like a misdial from the Pentagon or something, and it's like, oh, they launched the nukes. The nukes are going to hit in 45 minutes. And he's like, what? And so he's like 45 minutes basically left on Earth.
Really?
Yeah, and so
no, I did not see this. Oh, Anthony Edwards,
Goose, yeah.
thriller sci-fi, 1988, and it's had to be a theatrical release.
Oh yeah, I mean that's all there was back then.
Yeah. Wow. No, I don't remember this.
I remember really liking that one. There's not a whole lot of disaster in it until you get sort of to the last 10 minutes left on Earth, and then everybody starts finding out the nukes are coming. People start flipping out. I think that's worth revisiting.
Peter Berg was in that, had a small role.
Peter Berg.
Brian Thompson, helicopter pilot.
We'll watch the trailer here after we're off the air, but I'll show.
Yeah,
think you'll like
okay.
It. And then, you mentioned not wanting to watch this one, but I think it's really good considering who directed it. World Trade Center.
Oh yeah.
Being that it's Oliver Stone, you think it's going to be more. It's going to be a take, sort of a more controversial, conspiratorial take, but it's just a really good movie.
Yeah. I know. There was I remember telling myself I'm going to try to put some distance between the event and watching a film about it, and even though it's been, how many over 2001, man, over 25 years.
Yeah.
I was like, is that enough distance? And I feel like no. I just feel like it still feels so raw. Like you see like all the memes about it now, and it's just like it kind of blows my mind because I was just like, and then you're realizing that the people who are making the memes, they weren't alive for this, and then that's no different than Pearl Harbor to them. That it's just something that kind of happened in history books.
Yeah.
But that being, I do what you're saying. Like if it's an Oliver Stone and to do that.
Good cast. Nicolas Cage is great in it.
Oh yeah, Nick Cage
and it's
is
got
in that.
it's just it's really well done. It's good. I recommend it if you can withstand it. I think it's a good movie. Oh, I lost my list here.
What is up?
Oops.
This guy on Reddit was looking for the movies, but he called them natural calamities. Some good movies depicting natural calamities, and it was pretty much Dante's Peak, Perfect Storm, Twister, San Andreas, Day After Tomorrow, Volcano, Earthquake, The Impossible, Skyscraper. Oh, that was The Rock's Towering Inferno, right?
Yes.
Did you watch that?
No. Is it still a disaster movie if they're just trying to prevent a disaster?
Yeah, I know.
Or does the disaster have to happen for it to be considered a disaster movie? I think that's the question at hand here.
Fantastic
because
question.
honestly, there's a lot of movies that are about stopping a disaster
Yeah.
from happening. But I think we've got to draw the line. This is just too broad of a topic.
So you're talking about disaster movies to stop a disaster versus disaster movies where you're navigating the disaster that already happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is a big difference. And
Because
I feel
let's
like
see-
that boom, that goes right down the middle, right?
Because it kind of splits it. Like, did you ever see Unstoppable? That's a really good movie with Denzel Washington and Chris Pine, and they're trying to stop a runaway train.
Oh, I did see that. That is the runaway train. Yes,
Yeah.
I did see that. Oh, you're right.
So there's that.
I feel like wasn't. No, I mean, I guess that was a bigger deal with Roland Emmerich, like in Independence Day, when before it was like preventing it all, but you really didn't prevent it, right? The White House got blowed up.
Yeah, no. All in the Roland Emmerich does the actual disaster,
Yeah, the
and that's the
disaster
whole
actually
movie.
happens.
Yeah. So wild. He ran out of disasters, and he just he got all the way to the end of the list. Let's just do 2012 as a disaster. Just that.
Just threw it on there.
Yeah. That's going to be a disaster. Let's do that.
I was trying to think. What was the? Oh, maybe
What are you
that
looking?
was-
What are you doing?
Oh, I was trying to see in Deep Impact. What was the name of the movie? I think she was in. I don't want to sound like Chris Farley.
This is the end. Yeah. Cray
Was it-
Lax brings it. This is the end.
This-
That is a good that is a true disaster movie. We are navigating the results of the disaster, but it's a comedic take.
Yes, that was like what a like. Man, can you imagine? It's just like if we all just got together, like, yeah, we're gonna make this movie, but I mean, we're just gonna kind of play ourselves. We're gonna kind of have fun. Maybe we'll just shoot it at our house and do it ourselves.
Well, that was kind of just what they were doing during that whole Judd Apatow, run. They sort of pioneered the whole let's just freeball the whole movie.
Man, and now he's just producing, right? Has he acted in anything lately?
Who?
Oh, why is his name slip? Pineapple Express guy slipping my name.
Oh, Seth Rogen.
Just Seth Rogen, right? He did. I mean, he's basically the reason we get to enjoy The Boys.
He's definitely producing a lot of stuff. He was in what was he just in?
He did Preacher. He produced that.
He
too.
was in this
on
movie
some-
called Mad Money that just came out.
Oh, that was the GameStop guys.
Yeah. And he's in some show on Apple. So he's still acting. But, producing's probably more lucrative and, you don't have to go on a diet.
Yeah. That one always sticks in my head when it's like you're losing too much weight. You look weird.
What about Orca the Killer Whale?
Oh man, I love Orca. Orca the Killer Whale is a great movie. You're just like trying to capitalize. Like you think you should be scared of shark, you should be scared of Orca the Killer Whale. I guess you can start like so now you're getting into like Fox in the 90s. It's like now you're talking about when animals attack. I guess you would put Orca with the birds, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Orca with the birds. Also, that was around the same time. That was 70s as well.
So it's Orca, the birds, and Jaws. They're all on the same shelf.
They should be, yeah. Even though the birds was 10 years earlier, but I would put those along the same lines. You said you didn't want to go through the. I found this list, but you didn't say why. You're just like I don't want to do the Rotten Tomatoes list. You're not a fan of their bot, the bots.
Their AI. I don't like their AI.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, what do they got on there?
How do you rate your? Do you ever go through and back and like rate your movies, like what they put in the movies? Like do you have a
Like on
place-
Letterboxd?
Yeah. Oh, you do it on Letterbox?
I try to do Letterboxd, but I never commit to it. Then I
was
overthink my review and I never hit send.
I was doing it for a while on, but I was doing it through that Flickster who went under, but they had like Rotten Tomatoes built in, and then like they're still around or whatever the hell happened, like all my ratings were lost, and now I just lost track because it's like we try to see a lot of movies, and sometimes I want to go back and like, wait, did I see that movie? But no, Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it has Titanic as number one, Contagion. It has The Wave, which I don't think was on any of these lists.
Which one?
The Wave, a Norwegian geologist, Christopher Genre.
No, the Wave was on all those other Smarty Pants
Oh,
lists
was?
as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's smart. Deepwater Horizon, Mark Wahlberg. Mm-hmm. The Impossible Black Sea with Jude Law in 2014.
I've never heard of that.
Soon after losing his salvage job, former naval officer Robinson assembles a misfit crew of unemployed sailors.
That's a disaster.
I don't know what for a risky mission. It just says it's risky, so I don't know what the disaster is. Greenland, we saw Twisters, A Night to Remember. That was 1958. Oh, A Night to Remember was about the Titanic. The sinking of the Titanic is presented in a highly realistic fashion in this tense British drama. I mean, I guess that's the Earth attacking. It was an iceberg. Oh, they have The Day After on this list. You talked about that.
I mean, I think that's a pretty huge disaster, in my opinion.
I mean, that was
Nuclear war.
I feel like that was the second made-for-TV movie that, like, was, like, must-watch. And I don't remember what the first one is, ironically. Like, that I remember... Dude, you know how much I remember that? I was pretty little at the time. What year was that? 1983. So, yeah, I was, like, 10. And I remember I was in charge of getting the VCR working, and not only did I have it get it working, it didn't have remotes yet. So I just had a wired remote that had one big red button that was play, like when you're recording, or pause. So I was recording, And then I was in charge every time a commercial hit pause because my family wanted to watch it again. They wanted to watch it with no commercials. So they turned me into human TiVo. Like I had to figure out the timing of a movie I've never seen, and I'm terrified watching these people get all their skin like burnt off. And
Yeah.
I was in charge of hitting the big red button to make sure there was no commercials.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, I would.
I remember the remote, the VCR with the wired remote
just the big button.
and the top loader.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
I had a top loader VCR all the way to college. I was watching Reservoir Dogs on a top loader. I wish I had photos of that.
They're a little tougher, right? Because there's just more parts to fail.
Yeah.
Makes it tougher. This list has Snakes on the Plane as a disaster movie.
That's a disaster, as in it didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Everyone was dying to see that movie, and it just didn't work.
Here's a question on that movie, like, because you can honestly say that premise is like falls in the line of same thing as Sharknado. Like if that would have been made for or like went direct, now they wouldn't have done it because of Samuel Jackson. But if that was just like on Sci-Fi and people watch it at home or just like streaming, would people have been okay with it?
What do you mean?
Like I feel like Snakes on a Plane, if that would have just happened now, but they released it direct to streaming or something like that, I think people would have been more okay with it than committing to going to the theater back then, back all the way back in 2006 and watching that, even though it's got 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, I'm sure if we dig hard enough, there is another Snakes on the Plane that probably played on Sci-Fi.
Yeah. Oh, no, there's no doubt about it.
So, but no, I think that it was just one of those movies that just picked up a lot of steam and it was overhyped. The premise sounded ludicrous, but all intriguing. I just remember it was just poorly done. It didn't work, and I think there was a lot of snake movies at this time. We had Anaconda,
Yeah.
probably another one. But
Which is going to be on Terror Tuesday this month, right? Anaconda.
yeah, but yeah, it just didn't all come together. It just didn't work. It's not an entertaining.
Again, fair enough. I don't remember liking it, so I like that. Maybe this is a Rotten Tomatoes thing. From 1928, the original disaster, Noah's Ark, and it's got 45%. 57. Screw that Noah stuff. It's like it was 1927. They just were transitioning from silent movies to talkies, but they still used 600,000 gallons water in some tank. But that was probably like that horrible Hollywood movie that we saw last year when they just treated everybody like shit. That was probably that same time period. What's the movie? We hate it. Well, I hated it. I don't know if you liked it. The first hour was good with Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, and then
Babylon?
yeah, Babylon. I think Noah's Ark was probably filmed around that period.
Yeah, I mean, biblical epics were big back then.
Yeah.
That's all you had. That was the only IP, was the Bible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Kralak. She's producing a lot on Amazon. Yeah, Seth Rogen. If you want a sleeper, no, I'm not going to recommend it because I like Preacher, but it's not for everybody. But he clearly is a fan of the comic genres and bringing it back. Dude, I don't know, man.
You know which one you I think, look, there's, if you're into Noah's Ark and sharks, we got Noah's Shark.
No, sure.
I think this one's on Tubi as well.
Is that? Wait, it's got.
No, this is...
Dude, are those two of every animal floating behind the shark eating?
Director Mark Polina.
Dude, I'm losing it on that.
It gets a 1 out of 10. Oh, here's the trailer.
Dude, can we watch the trailer?
I don't know. I don't know if we'll get... we might get pinged.
Oh my god, dude. I love that there's a bear and a giraffe. That is incredible. Let's make this the final spot just in case we get kicked off.
Noah's Shark. Anyway.
Oh,
We'll watch
dude,
this second.
What a I want to see that now. That box art is great. Look at that. It's like, let's just come up with punny titles with that shot.
I'm telling you. And then you shoot 45 minutes of footage of just guys looking at files. Have a killer poster.
And you're in.
Yeah.
Dude, I think you're right, because some of those movies are barely not shorts, right?
No, they're all feature films, but it only needs to be an hour.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like, it's barely over. Like, what is a short? 45 or 48? Under 45?
I mean, under an hour is considered a short usually.
Yeah, I guess nowadays with everything being 2 hours. But, all right, dude, I think we've wrung this dry. I lost my breath on that. Oh, shit.
Okay.
And so, yeah, man, this is, we've been waiting for this week for a long time, and our times, our sensibilities. Tomorrow's the big day. Tomorrow's Deadpool and Wolverine. You want to just, are you excited or you're not excited? 'Cause a lot of things have changed. Thanks, Gray. Appreciate it.
Yeah. What, am I excited? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm excited to see it. I think I don't know. I think it'll be fine. I don't want to set any high expectations. As it is, I'm on the superhero fatigue end of things right now.
Yeah.
So as long as it's not insufferable,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be okay.
I'll go for the cameos. Of course, I gotta be part of the culture.
Like Mike said, I think it's tracking for the same amount. This is more of a buddy comedy. They're calling it, comparing it to Midnight Run, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, that's a great movie. That's a pretty tall order,
Yeah,
in my
so-
opinion.
So we'll go for it. I just want to have a good time.
You're seeing it tomorrow at 3.
Yes. Tomorrow at 3. I mean 7. All right, but yeah, we'll have Geek Commander will be back in the house next week, and yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll figure out how to fit him into the vertical screen.
All right, that's it for us.